The New York Giants completely overhauled their quarterback room this offseason, starting with the pair of free agent acquisitions in Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston. Those aren't the names that are generating buzz for Giants fans, however, with first-round quarterback Jaxson Dart dominating the preseason competition to push for the starting job. Russell Wilson is set to start Week 1, but Dart's dominance in the preseason has helped him make a push to eventually start this season, throwing for 372 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions over 3 preseason games. An electric playmaker in college over the last 3 years at Ole Miss, Dart was one of the more divisive prospects in the 2025 NFL Draft, with arguments against him claiming that he was propped up by a QB-friendly offensive scheme and a loaded supporting cast that featured weapons like wide receivers Trey Harris and Jordan Watkins. Those anti-Dart arguments have quieted, at least for now, after such a strong preseason debut from the first-round pick. Let's dive straight into that preseason film of Dart to see if the Giants have finally found their long-term answer at quarterback in today's episode of Best Available. Thank you so much for watching Best Available. Make sure that you are subscribed to the YouTube channel, and you can also follow us on socials at BestAvailableYT. There is a lot of really fun preseason film to get into with Dart, which honestly surprises me a bit. I wasn't the biggest Dart guy. I'm not going to say I was anti-Dart. I thought a lot of the physical tools were there, but, frankly, I was a little bit concerned about the offense that he played in and how much, it kind of set up layups for a guy. But, man, the preseason film is legit. We can get into it. It's not all perfect. But we're going to go over all 3 preseason games. This one's a pretty simple one. Kind of interesting, though. Just a quick RPO. I like the release, timing, delivery on all of that. What I'm more interested in is the fact that, the Giants are running RPOs in the preseason. Either this is to get Dart just comfortable and get his feet wet in a game, or is it something that they're going to think about actually using at the NFL level? The illegal man downfield, penalties are a bit more strict at the NFL level. Could make them a bit harder to run, but quick ones like this, just a quick hitch on the outside, is intriguing to me. I think Dart has the mental capabilities of recognizing when those plays are open. And if you ever want to know the difference between a play action and an RPO, if you're not too familiar, just watch the offensive line. If they're going forward and blocking like it's a run play, it's an RPO. If they're, either stonewalling or dipping back a little bit, that's a play action. You can see here, they are clearly going forward to block. That is not a pass set, right? So just going forward to block, quick RPO game. Just a nice throw. More just interested in the fact that they were utilizing that right away for Dart in the preseason. Something that really stood out to me from all of the tape is just Dart's pocket presence and, comfortability maneuvering the pocket, whether it's scrambling or just adjusting his platform. I think this is really mature of Dart to just keep stepping up in the pocket instead of trying to, drop his eyes and scramble around. You can see he's taking steps up. He's trying to hit this target. The problem is he sails the throw. That could be just early game jitters, your first NFL playing time. I know it's the preseason. Could also be just timing with the receiver, or that is Greg Dulcich, the tight end. But there's a couple of factors that can be at play in here. But I appreciate that he's willing to step up in the pocket and deliver this throw. Too many times I've seen, especially young quarterbacks, when they feel that pressure, their eyes drop, and then they're looking for these escape hatches back here or maybe through here. Just like that he's keeping his eyes downfield, even if the throw is not accurate. There are a handful of plays on this preseason film where I made audible noises from the plays that were being made by Dart. I really like this one. We got a single high safety look with Damar Hamlin in the back. Pretty clear it's a cover 1 look. One of these guys is likely going to play some kind of robber. Someone else can be manned up on tight end. But, based on the alignment from the corners, it looks like we have a pretty obvious cover 1 look here. So what Dart's thinking is I've got one-on-one here to the outside. This guy's going deep. If I can hold this safety long enough, there's a window here. But that's not even what has me excited about this play, because he reads the throw. He gets crunched here. And one of my favorite qualities for quarterbacks is they're just the guys that are willing to step into a throw knowing they're about to get hit. And Dart does a great job of that. Gets popped here. I like that it's a clean shot from the defender in the preseason, not trying to do anything dirty or malicious. But, Dart does get popped here. It's the absolute right read, and then the placement on this ball. I think if Hamlin's giving it 100%, maybe he breaks this up. You can literally see Hamlin's just kind of jogging this one out. But I'm not entirely sure, and that's a hell of a ball. Just in the bucket for the touchdown. And that was our first big play from Dart this preseason that kind of, started this whole thing. because we're going to go through 15 snaps from the preseason. This is not the only deep ball throw we're going to talk about. Something I've really been encouraged by so far as well with Dart is not only just that pocket presence, but understanding of when to take off and run. And, he may not be a Lamar Jackson, Jaden Daniels, like explosive type of athlete, but man, he's pretty elusive in the pocket. And, here you can see how he's able to maneuver around here. And then he's lowering his pads and he keeps running. Right here, just when the pressure is going to back step away from that, he loses his balance but stays upright. Like, that's a pretty sizable chunk of yardage. One thing I noticed with his scrambling, it scares me a little bit, but I also love the competitive nature of him. He's not trying to slide. He's trying to get every yard he can get, and that's just the kind of competitor he is. The one huge takeaway from this preseason is that competitive toughness. Stepping in, take shots on throws, not sliding on runs. Like, this is a guy that, even though it's the preseason, like, he's here to prove a point. And I think he did exactly that the entire preseason, because, man, I think teammates are going to love this kind of stuff of a leader on the offense that's, willing to sacrifice his own body, knowing how much everyone else is sacrificing. Really encouraged by this kind of scrambling ability. This could open up more for the Giants offense once Dart eventually hits the field. Another missed throw on this tape, and I'm more worried about whether this is chemistry and timing, or it's just a sailed throw. But the one thing I'm going to criticize is just an out route to the top of the screen. I'm not sure little Jordan Humphrey is running this route full speed. If he is, that's not good enough. Maybe if he is running full speed, this is a good throw, but this is just a chemistry timing thing. Don't love it, though. I don't love the effort there. Regardless, missed throw from Dart. But again, it's another of those examples. Like, let's put context into things instead of looking at stats. Like, if you're going to cite incompletions, watch the incompletions too. Don't just watch a highlight reel of a player. This could be a sailed throw. I'm not going to just discount that, but I don't love the effort from Jordan there. I'm going to keep moving myself to make sure I'm not in the frame of what I'm trying to talk about. But, man, I really like this throw. This is a deep down the middle, step up in the pocket, deliver that throw with timing. Big fan of this throw because he's throwing with anticipation. Because the ability to throw with that anticipation while there's pressure, like you can see here, this is a losing battle right here. Dart feels it. He's stepping up to the side, but keeping his eyes downfield. Heck of a strike into the middle of the field. I like the placement. I like the timing of it. I like that he's not panicking, feeling that pressure and having to get off his drop. Like ideally he's trying to drop, back, but as he's feeling that, he's having to step in. But no issues here. He's delivering that strike, and it's one of the things. His pocket awareness in this offense. Maybe it's just preseason basic looks he's seeing, but that kind of composure and ability to reset and not just take off every time you feel for pressure is maturity that not a lot of rookie quarterbacks have, especially early on. I mean, I don't want to call out Tyler Shuck, but man, some of that preseason film when he's under duress has been brutal. I much prefer to see stuff like this. I love the way he's climbing that pocket and keeping his eyes downfield and then delivering, a nice strike for a big gain. Not a lot to this one, but I just appreciate the ability to layer a ball over a second level defender. Because right here, we've got two potential options, right? We've got this route or this route, and we have this defender right here. If we're checking it down here, this guy's going to close on it, potentially blow up dual sitch. But what Dart does here is nice. Just get a little loft on that throw. I don't think Malik Washington needs to jump for this one, but I appreciate layering that ball over the second level defender and just dropping it in the bucket. Again, not a lot to it, but being able to throw with a little bit of touch, not too much touch. It's one thing that Dart's been able to do since college is his ability to dial and gear down his velocity, ramp up his touch when needed. Is just the kind of arm talent that he has as a quarterback, and a big reason why he was a first rounder. Let's move on to the Jets game here in week 2 of the preseason. This is just another one. Dart is pretty comfortable throwing with anticipation in the middle of the field. This is one where you have to throw with anticipation into this window because you're seeing right here, the wide receiver here, you're going to want to start gearing up to throw that into that window in the middle of the field as he passes that linebacker. We can see basically right, you can barely see it on the screen, but right as he's getting past that linebacker, Dart's gearing up to throw, and you've got that tight window between 3 defenders. Not the tightest window, but when you're throwing with enough anticipation, that's not as hard of a throw as it needs to be. Another mature throw, throwing with anticipation in the middle of the field. We can talk all about the middle of the field when it comes to Russell Wilson, and, for all of his faults and success he had in the past. But this is just the kind of stuff that Dart's already bringing to the field as a rookie in the preseason. Mature throw, an NFL level throw. Digs are so in, middle of the field concepts are super popular in the past couple of years in the NFL. You need a quarterback that can deliver in that with the way defenses are playing the passing game. I really appreciate this throw, composure, nice zip on the ball, everything you need from a play for a nice big gain, nice anticipation, nice accuracy. Love all of it. Another RPO concept here, which I really like that Dart, it's another example of these are just good post-snap, pre-snap processing. What do we notice here that's going to have Dart hit this? It's almost a bubble, I believe. This defender that's supposedly man up on him has inside leverage. He's a hair inside. And Dart notices that. He's looking right at him, looks back, getting ready for the call. You can see this guy's gearing up to blitz. And, his eyes aren't technically at that defender. He's looking read. What I appreciate, though, is his ability to react to that, throw the bubble. And what this is doing on this RPO is with this guy blitzing, we now have bubble. We've got this blocked up, and then it's just one-on-one with this safety from depth. And if you have a more dynamic playmaker here, if Dart's is running something like this against this kind of defensive call against the ones, and you maybe get a Malik Neighbors in space like this can be a really, really dangerous proposition. Even still, even though this wide receiver can't shake this safety that's closing down, it's still a 4-yard gain. And, an offense will take that every day. 3 straight 4-yard gains is a first down every time. To me, that's a successful play. It's the right read. And again, another example of I'm really curious about if the Giants are willing to do more of this RPO stuff if Dart ends up starting this year as a rookie, because it's something he's comfortable with during his time at Ole Miss, and you can find some legitimate success with it. Really like the play, but I also just like the recognition from Dart to recognize that blitzer. Not that it's not super obvious, but it's the right decision and the right read. Another good scramble attempt here from Dart. Just good pocket awareness here. These guys are crashing deep, getting too much depth. Dart feels it and steps up and has all this space. It's just the right decision for Dart. And again, he's never going to slide. I'm sure his coaches want him to slide, especially in the preseason. I appreciate the competitive fire, but more than anything, I just appreciate he feels this outside rush depth, and that, this blocker is clearly inside, is going to have to ride him behind the quarterback. Then he's got a running back on the other side. It's just the right read based on the depth of those rushers and how the inside's all cleaned up to just take off and run. I think it's the right call, smart decision. And that rushing ability is going to make Dart a little more dynamic than, I think some teams might be expecting. Opens up the offense a little bit more, and just the right decision once again. Now, this is something I really wanted to see from Dart. It's something that, can be highlight worthy, but it's just off-script playmaking. Because sometimes when not everything's there, maybe this is here, but it feels like this corner can break down on this throw. We got a safety closing down on this dig. Maybe this is open, but this isn't the side of the field for the progression. He's feeling the pressure. He steps up. The awareness to know that he has this outlet here and that there's just no one here, turns his head, throws it, and then all of a sudden Gunnar Olszewski has all this space for a huge gain. It's just, I like that he's looking this way. It's almost I can't tell if it's a sixth sense of just knowing where everyone is, but it's awfully impressive knowing that whip route's there, this linebacker's closing on the scramble, and seeing Olszewski. That's the kind of off-script playmaking that, Cam Ward got drafted #1 overall for. And I just don't think in the context of Ole Miss's offense that Dart had to do too much of this. So really excited to see it. It's a great play, showing some of that off-script playmaking ability. I love this play, not because of the throw, but because you can see in real time what Dart is thinking. We've got this motion here, and you can see everyone bumping. You're seeing hand motions, the safeties bumping over, linebackers bumping over. Then we're bumping back, and, you're pointing. What this is saying to me is, these two linebackers are switching coverage assignments based on where the running back is to the side of Dart. So we're recognizing that, but we're also noticing this safety bumped over is not coming back after Scadaboo is coming back to his original sideline scrimmage. So what that tells us is we've got a man look. He's taking responsibility for Scadaboo. It's going to be a man coverage look based on alignment and what we're seeing with that pre-snap motion. And it's going to put Greg Dulcich on the solo side one-on-one with this guy with a safety overhanging. But because the safety bumped over and didn't bump back, We have a little bit of space to get this throw out. Dart reads all of this. This is what that pre-snap motion is designed to do. We can see linebackers immediately not eyes on the quarterback. It's not a zone look. He is looking at that running back, and then we've got a zone drop here. We've got man, 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 and then this safety reading is an overhang. But again, because he bumped over, he just doesn't have the time to react to this throw. And Dart knows what that is right there. He gets it out in good timing, tight window. This is NFL stuff. Like, you need to understand these things. Every pre-snap motion has a purpose, whether it's to get guys out of line or to get a tell for what kind of coverage you're looking at. And this is the kind of stuff an NFL quarterback needs to be ready for. And for all of the talk about Dart's aura and athletic ability, what I keep seeing from the preseason that's standing out, we talked about competitive toughness, but his processing and understanding of what defenses are giving him is awfully impressive. And that's where he, as he continues to learn, that's where he's going to be the starter in New York. And we'll talk about it at the end of the video. But just to me, what I've seen from the preseason is a starting caliber quarterback, not just because of the physical tools, but stuff like this, where you're recognizing man coverage based off your pre-snap motion, seeing where the safety is aligned, and getting a throw out in that window. That touchdown against Buffalo was a great example of Dart, stepping into a throw while getting hit, and that shows up again here. It's such a breath of fresh air to see a young quarterback willing to step in on these throws instead of trying to run away or hide or throw off your back foot. Dart's stepping into this, and I know it's a drop, but that's like we can try and do the math real quick here, but that's 10, 20, 30, 35 yards in the air. In the bucket while getting hit, and it's a drop, but it's right in the receiver's hands. That kind of touch while getting hit over another defender, like, that's a phenomenal throw. Phenomenal. Just shame the receiver can't haul it in, but it's an example of the kind of stuff Dart does, even when under duress. That's just wow. Like, again, incomplete, but we're not talking results. We're talking process, especially in the preseason. Hell of a throw. Absolutely love that kind of placement while getting hit. This entire Patriots tape is just littered with deep ball placement, and it's unfortunate that none of these get caught, but another great example here when we're watching. Just stepping into that throw, realizing the safety isn't deep enough. Because you can see here, safety winds back, but he's just not getting deep enough to the sideline. Like, that is such good ball placement again. And that's what we're starting behind the 30. We'll just say 30, 10, 20, 30, 40 yards in the air, 45, almost 50 in the air, lands right in the receiver's hands, and he just can't haul it in. That deep ball placement is just on another level to get behind that safety because he's just not getting deep enough and not being prepared for that deep shot. That is an outstanding ball. It's just, we're going to have one more of these to wrap it up, but 3 deep balls that are just really impressive throws that are not completions. And it's funny, like, we're talking about the stats and how well Dart played, but imagine what they're looking like if all 3 of these are completed. Last one here, Dart's going to be looking at the bottom of the screen. Another deep shot, just because screw it, it's the preseason. I've balled out. In the bucket again, and it's dropped. Maybe it gets tipped or something, but it's good ball placement, layered touch. I don't think it gets batted. It's right in that bucket. And both of these last 2 drops are on Jalen Hylett, who was such a good deep threat in college. So that's really unfortunate to see. But we're not here to talk about Hylett. We're here to talk about that deep ball placement from Dart that just kept showing up time and time again in this Patriots game. He's clearly locked in as far as placement goes. The confidence, after a little jitters in that first preseason game, it just felt like the confidence from Dart skyrocketed throughout the preseason in these 3 games. The fact that he can just deliver these kind of balls is a pretty rare thing to see from a guy this young. The preseason tape really stands out for Dart. And again, I had some, questions about Dart as a prospect, but this is some of my favorite film I've watched from the preseason. That being said, do not start Dart right away. Giants, I'm begging you. The schedule for the Giants is simply way too tough early on. This is a guy that looks ready, but every rookie quarterback needs time. There's so much about playbooks, checks, pre-snap calls, protections. there's so much that goes into playing quarterback that throwing a guy out there too early can, be really detrimental. And we've seen that in a few instances over the past few years. But I really hope he gets a chance to start later in the year. I think he's absolutely looks like he can be a starter, and just from a long-term outlook, like it really feels like the Giants found their guy. I think him and Daboll, Dart and Daboll, are just such an ideal combination of a head coach and a quarterback that this might be turning around pretty quickly for the Giants. I'm very curious what you see. What do you think about Dart? Let me know in the comments, and that'll be it for today's episode. Still trying to figure out what we're doing next week. There's so much going on. We've got college football back this weekend, but stay tuned. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel, and we'll see you next week on Best Available.